roll call. Our chair is excused absence, Loretta Heron, and Commissioner Porter is ill. We're all present and accounted for. We'll move right along to our next item on the agenda, which is the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Commissioner Rosenberg.
Please stand up.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have public comment, Carol?
I have none.
Okay. We'll move right along to presentations, report from the ACT, the liaison.
Hello, my name is Jewel Chu, and it is a pleasure to be here representing Lake Forest Advisory Committee for Teens as the president. I am here to update the Parks and Recreation Commission about what ACT has been working on over the summer and the beginning of the school year. We volunteered at the movies in the park this past summer and ran the snack and craft stations. We also volunteered at all 3 concerts in the park. It was a very busy summer full of special events, and we are lucky to have been a part of it because we were creating an exciting summer for our community. This month, we volunteered for Autumn Harvest Festival and both nights of Haunt. Our duties varied from making popcorn, running game booths, handing out eggs at the candy stations, and running the craft station. We look forward to volunteering opportunities and community service projects that are coming up this year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation. Recognition of the Focus Skate Shop. Oops, excuse me, my mistake. We're going to move along on presentations to the recognition of new recreational coordinators.
Good evening, Vice Chair and Commissioners. I'm proud to introduce our outstanding team of new coordinators, and that often surpassed my expectations. With the opening of the sports park in 2014, we started out with 2 part-time coordinators. With the addition of special events attendance increasing and all the additional programming, since the inception of the sports park, we needed more help. Luckily for us, we were able to add 2 new coordinators this fiscal year, and I would like to introduce them and recognize all 4 of them this evening. And tell you a little bit about them, because you may see them at some of our events, but you may not really know their backgrounds, and they are super qualified and super amazing staff. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about each one of them and recognize them and give them their appreciation. Michelle Newton. Michelle Newton began her recreation career in college while obtaining her Bachelor of Science degree at UCLA. Go Bruins. Michelle worked under a UCLA recreation for a student-led health and wellness organization called Fitted. Michelle shares her time working also for the City of Laguna Niguel with senior programming. She has been with the City of Lake Forest for the past 3 years and spends her time coordinating youth camps and special events. Her favorite part of her job is working Haunt and leading our youth camp, Lake Forest Rocks. This year, she did an amazing job coordinating the movies in the park and will take on the new assignment of Bunny Blast this spring. One fun fact about Michelle is that she shares her birthday with the City of Lake Forest on December 20th. Okay. Thank you, Michelle.
Don't forget it.
Tiana Johnson. Tiana Johnson began her recreation career over 6 years ago and has worked for the cities of Artesia, Laguna Beach, and currently splits her work between Fountain Valley and Lake Forest. In Lake Forest, she currently oversees the preschool programs, facility rentals at the Recreation Center, the 4th of July Parade, which I wouldn't be able to do without her, and has recently collaborated with Economic Development on the Shop and Dine and Taste of Lake Forest events. She is always looking forward for ways to enhance her career and is actively involved in CPRS. She is currently on the Awards and Scholarship Committee for CPRS District 10. Thanks, Tiana. Allie Gallardo. Allie earned her Bachelor of Science degree in Conservation and Resource Studies with an area of interest in ethical business from UC Berkeley. Go Bears. She was exposed to recreation her entire life because her mom has worked with seniors at the Oasis Senior Center in Newport Beach since before the time she was born. Allie has been volunteering there for as long as she can remember. She followed in her mother's path, starting with her first recreation job at the YMCA. Then she started working for the City of San Clemente, teaching preschool and a variety of other programs. She also currently works as a part-time coordinator for the City of Laguna Niguel in senior programming. And for the City of Lake Forest, she coordinates all the teen programs, including the ACT, Teen Lounge, and Teen Camps, and will take over for Breakfast with Santa this year. Thank you, Allie. Kevin Fernandez, my little star. They're all stars, but Kevin's a little special. He's the only boy, so we like to tease him. Kevin started his career in recreation almost a decade ago when he took a position at the Etnies Skate Park of Lake Forest. He stayed with the city for over 5 years before moving to the Oregon coast to work as a state park ranger in the wilderness area of Cape. Thank you. He returned recently to the city of Lake Forest, assisting with overseeing sports contracts, family campout, Aliso Creek cleanup, and he will assist me this year for the 2018 South County Pet Expo in Dogapalooza. Kevin is excited to bring some fresh ideas to the table, and he couldn't be happier about rejoining the City of Lake Forest family. This is an amazing team that I have here, and I was pleased as punch to introduce them and recognize them tonight. So, thank you.
Laura touched on this, but they all do a lot of work, a lot of nuts and bolts work for the city, and a lot of the reasons that the programs are as good as they are is because of their efforts. So we really appreciate what they do.
Just if I may, a quick comment. First of all, to Michelle, congratulations for your choice of secondary education.
You a fellow Bruin?
I'm a fellow Bruin. I think I went there when the campus was in downtown L.A. No, it wasn't quite. It wasn't Westwood at the time.
I'm sure we went there at the same time.
Yeah, right. Yeah. When you watch football games, did the players have leather helmets, or did they already have face masks? Okay. But the other kind of hopefully charge to our staff, knowing for many years what goes on and the work that goes into it, you folks have stepped into the breach, it's like seamlessly, with keeping the level of what the poor people that are sitting here and a few others that have been here are literally dying to get done, because it is just so much work and effort, and the level of all of the programs and events that we do is just going up, and that's a real credit to what you're doing. And based on that, my hope is that you folks will come back, hopefully sooner than later, and be reintroduced as full-time staff for this city, as opposed to winding up somewhere else. So we keep watching what you're doing. All right, thank you much.
Thank you. Moving along to the consent calendar, minutes of the regular meeting, are there any changes? Is there a motion to?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Guess we get to vote? No.
Second?
Oh,
You can second.
I'm looking over.
second.
Okay, thank you.
Because I'm abstaining,
Yeah.
so.
All in favor, please press the appropriate button, or opposed.
My button is not lighting up. Oh, there it is.
Down the buttons. Repair electricity bill? Okay.
There. I declared.
Were you able to vote?
It shows up for a second and then goes away.
Yeah, I'm
Okay, I'm going to reset this thing.
not getting it.
Yeah, we can do
All right.
it by hand.
There's so many of us here tonight, right?
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes.
Should I abstain? Does it matter? Is it,
Yes, you were not here?
I was not here.
Right.
We wouldn't have a quorum, so you can just.
Choose to abstain, then we
I could say aye. 'Cause it says I
Yeah,
wasn't
you already
here. That's
you already
correct.
said aye, so.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
3-0.
Discussion action items, September 2017 recreational report.
Good evening. I really don't have that much to report for September. All my fun activities were actually this month, and thank you, Jim, for coming out and being so festive and dressed, and you and Diane did a wonderful job representing. But I did want to call to your attention, if you hadn't seen on page 4, Kids Factory, just a little blurb on Kids Factory, but the numbers in the back really tell it all. This was the highest, and I've been involved for Kids Factory for many, many years. To have 845 registered within the first month is unbelievable. Usually our goal for, the year or for the semester is 900, and we're already far beyond that. Usually at this point it's about 500, 600 at the most. I'm expecting at least an attendance of 1,100 for the year, if not more. So those are really great numbers, and I can only attribute it to the economy right now and people needing that additional child care, let alone latchkey program. So it's a wonderful program for those people that need it, and I'm really proud to still be attached to that program. Everything else for me will be coming in October. There's a few things to look forward to. Some of the events that we have this weekend for the skate park, and I know Vicki will elaborate on that, but she'll go ahead and talk about the seniors.
As well. I think I mentioned this last month, but I'm going to re-mention it again. The clubhouse is going green, the senior clubhouse. We're doing a lot of work with not using styrofoam cups anymore. At the Senior Resource Fair, the first 300 visitors were given cups that they could reuse for their coffee at the senior center itself. And then we did, for people who brought their cups, they each got a raffle ticket, and then we pulled a prize for them. We've been doing that consistently for about once a week the last couple of weeks since the Senior Resource Fair. We're also working with CC&R and doing composting. So on Thursdays when the seniors come in for our big lunch, they have a composting trash can that they put their compost waste into, and then that gets taken out separately, and CC&R comes and picks that up. So we're trying to do a lot more going green with the seniors themselves. We had the 14th Annual Senior Resource Fair on September 20th. One of the largest ones I've seen participant-wise. There were over 300 participants that came through those doors, and we had probably a couple more booths than we've normally had in the past, but the number of participants that came through was it was nonstop. Bowl of Heaven provided smoothies, and Trader Joe's had some healthy snacks that we gave out that day, and we always have Walgreens doing flu vaccinations. The last thing I wanted to talk about was the Senior Clubhouse is getting into social media and now is on Instagram. So we'll be doing some pre-marketing for our events on Instagram, and also some marketing of the events themselves while they're going on Instagram. Our next phase that we're looking to do is we're going to be doing some Facebook Live at our dances. So look for that, and the idea behind that is yes, for the seniors to see them, but I also want the seniors' children to see them having a good time. My mom's about the same age as the majority of our seniors that come here, and I love seeing pictures of her when she's out and about with her friends. I know that she's not sitting home by herself. So that was the idea behind the Facebook Live. The last thing I have was October 27th is a special needs game night. Last year we had about 50 people that went to that, and we're going to be having quite a few more come this time from what we can tell. So that's what I have for the month of September, and Laura and I will be happy to answer any questions you may have about the activities.
Can I borrow your record before I grab the stack of Might as well lead off then while I'm at it. A couple of questions. I think Laura, you answered the first question about the increase in the Kids Factory, which was starting with a good number and increasing it by almost a third 30, like 2% or something is phenomenal. Do you think it is basically the economy, that more people working, that they need childcare for the kids, or has anything with the program changed that offers maybe more, that's more attractive, or?
Sometimes it's a combination between those two things and then also the increase of TLC. So TLC possibly could have increased their fees, which are quite expensive.
Yeah, okay.
So it's, it's more economical for them to go to Kids Factory. A lot of people use Kids Factory just as the buffer between picking up their kid right after school and giving them a half an hour or an hour to have that extra playtime. So that
And for the parents,
they can be there
do
for that.
something
Yeah.
well
Yeah.
in that time.
Yeah.
And thinking about that, I remember back when we looked at the fee structure, which is not all that long ago for that program, and we were having, I think, in some cases, a little bit of unnecessary heartburn about how people would react when it still wasn't that much overall. And so I think that was very well done, and it's great to see those numbers continue to draw. The other was mine I had marked up, so I'm trying to find it real quick. A couple of questions. I know, figure out with the senior program. I think I may know the answer to one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. The taxi voucher and the, what was right under it? I don't have to look, waste all this time looking for it. Yeah, where there was an NA for, we had numbers for August, these numbers, and then NA for September. Is that because the time it takes to get those numbers?
Yeah, we haven't
in?
received them. Yeah,
That
so
it's
by the
more
time you
than-
get the report, we haven't received them at that point in time.
This is
Yeah.
then happening, so we'd actually would see September and November.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That makes sense. Okay. And then the other one was, I think it was either emeritus or recreation. It was an aquatics program that went from,
That would be the emeritus class.
was emeritus? Okay.
Yeah, it's their,
Thank you.
it is their
Yeah.
aquatics fitness training.
Right. That went from a significant number
Yeah.
to, did they all drown in the pool, or did they?
No, they get a lot less people once fall comes. People don't, it's cold. They don't want to go be outside when in the pool when it gets cold. It's an outside pool.
Is Saddleback in a different zone?
No,
Because
Yeah.
I tell you,
it doesn't make it. Yeah, it doesn't make a difference.
It wasn't that cold.
Yeah.
I mean, summer is still continuing. That's why.
Yeah. Right. It's at the Beach and Tennis Club.
Well, that's Lake Forest. I mean,
Uh-huh. That's pretty normal for that program, for the numbers to drop in the fall.
yeah. I'm just kind of wondering when fall will come, but okay.
I agree with
From
you.
that standpoint, so I guess people are in September in their mind it's fall, so
Yeah.
even though it's 94 degrees,
Yes.
it's fall, and I don't go in the pool.
Yeah, I don't go in the pool.
I sit home and sweat.
I
okay,
only go in
no,
during the summer.
great explanation.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe there's something we can do to inspire people to realize it's a temperature-based program as opposed to a monthly. But again, nice numbers. It's always nice to see the growth and the acceptance of the programs. Thanks, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Moving right along, Director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the Commission. Just two brief items. One is next Friday, October 27th, 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock, will be the City Council's strategic planning workshop. And the second announcement, CPRS registration. If you're interested in going, tomorrow is the last day to get the early bird special. If you are interested, you can, and you haven't already signed up, you can tell us now, or you can call. I'll be out tomorrow, and Carol will be out. I recommend you call Laura, because she could still register you under the early bird special price. That concludes my report.
How many of us are going?
One question.
So, okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
The workshop, 8 to 4 or 9 to 3?
Oh, I was told 9 o'clock. Okay, so 9, I was told 9 to 4. It's really 9 I suspect it will end early.
Yeah, because what's posted on the website is 9 to 3. That's why.
Oh, I didn't see that today. Okay, it must be 9 to 3. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
That's different from
kinda
what they
I
told me.
so, when you said the 8 earlier.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, to answer your question, you and Jim are going, and then Scott is enrolled, and Laura, I think, is going.
Are there any activities that we can participate as a group that might be of a common interest, or I haven't seen the agenda.
There probably will be, and we can, I think as the time approaches in March, we can take a look.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, since we had a short agenda, we're down to commission comments. So we'll start with Commissioner Bratz, followed by Commissioner Rosenberg.
Alrighty. I heard the last two events that we had at the Hill, what is it, the Heritage Hill, were amazing. I did not go because I'm very scared of the pictures that I saw. So I will go off of what I've heard on social media. I remember a few months ago we discussed that we were going to be trying to do movies in the park in the fall. Is that still a plan?
They're actually going to be in the winter.
Oh.
So yeah,
in the
so they'll be
winter when it's
coming, I
cold.
think January will be the first one.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. And then I'm sure a bunch of council members have already reached out and a bunch of people have already called, but it's just something that I noticed too at the sports park. Some of the sprinklers probably just need to be readjusted because the sidewalks continue to get drenched. And I noticed I kind of have to time it as I walk on the sidewalk to like make sure that they don't spray us as we go at night. But other than that, let's keep going on with the fun.
Okay, going back kind of at the cusp between our last meeting and this meeting, again, with the comments on the senior resource fair, it's really nice to see that this home of many years is getting too crowded with what's coming up, and I think hopefully what we will be able to do with, our new home for this event, and then combining that with social media and a significant outreach, because that is a good event. There's a lot of information for the segment of the community that is getting larger and larger, and I think this year the slate of exhibitors overall was probably better than in the past few years, as far as more outgoing, more interactive, rather than just kind of sitting there, and if you talk to them, they might talk back to you, as opposed to just giving you a brochure. So again, great event. Taste of Lake Forest is, again, something that is really phenomenally done, and I know this is more economic development, but there still seem to be issues, and I will talk with Carlo about it, with a number of vendors not understanding what they really have signed up for, what they're in for, and what the expectation is. And it's not just the people on the floor there, but example, Jamba Juice ran out, I want to say they ran out before 1:30 or something. And I just happened to be talking to the gal, and some people were already grumbling and giving her a hard time, and she's just there working. And I said, I'm just curious, how come this happened? And she said, well, the boss said we could serve up, and they make some smoothies, and then they pour them into small cups, X number of smoothies. And I said, well, how many, when you divide them up, how many would that, quote, feed? And it was like, about 350. So, okay, obviously, it's either not presented, because it wasn't the only one. That one was very graphically early, but every year there are a number of them that wind up. I think, again, it's an economic development issue, but we're all in the same boat to improve things. If we could get maybe even a few more vendors, because there's so many people that what you do most of the time is you stand in line. and that people will stand for so long and then kind of, they get a little tired and things like that. The other thing that it was actually also brought up at the council meeting, so maybe that will get some play, is the book that is done. The length of the duration of the coupons is very short. It's a week, as opposed to maybe longer, because we spend the money printing them, and the business really don't get the bang for the buck with that short a time frame. But I think it's a great event. It's gotten really super, and I really liked the first part of it, which was even before the end of the last meeting time spent, doing it kind of in a carnival atmosphere at the sports park. I think that was really, really good. Stop by the Eagle Credit Federal Credit Union. It just worked out. Know a couple people there for their again groundbreaking and their involvement. I think good thing in the chamber. They're getting more involved as a community partner, which is something that I'll come back to. Autumn Harvest Festival in the Haunt. Can we spend 2 hours talking about it? It was so good. No, they were really, really well done, and all the people have a great time, and it was, I liked the addition this year of the caricature artist. I thought that was a really nice touch, and they had, I think, a good play of people coming through there, because it's kind of a neat memory, and it was fun being the Mad Hatter and with my Queen of Hearts or whatever. I think it's Queen of Hearts, yeah. You took the picture. Was she the Queen of Hearts? Is that what? Yeah. I'm trying to remember it. I will wear it next Thursday again for the Halloween lunch, so people can laugh at me. That's cool. But no, 2 great events that also get better. Stop by the senior lunch today. It's kind of a redo of what I did last year, and Brendan asked me to do it, and Karen was great with doing it again, and put forth a little recruiting pitch since we're going the last week for the Senior Advisory Board. And I think 7 people took applications and made sworn promises they would fill them out and turn them in. So, it's where there are a couple that really I know have some good ideas and are very outgoing and interactive. So it would be nice to have all 5 members of the board, since now we only really have 4 with Frank having to step down, to be of that same really dynamic ilk. But I think, again, they do some good stuff. Let me spend a couple minutes talking about NRPA, and I promise Victor I will not talk about every booth that I visited and every seminar that I went to, and things like that. But I'll express a bit of disappointment, because I was hoping to have a pile of stuff here, because some of it, with what we're doing, is I felt was really timely and important to share. But hopefully this will come. I will have to recreate the wheel and take all the little notes and make sense out of them and call people and say, hey, where's your literature and that? NRPA was huge, the exhibit. I mean, you talk about you take your 10,000 steps. You took your 10,000 steps going through part of the exhibit hall. And then you had the other part where the seminars were and the convention was, and that was another 20,000 steps. So it's long. It's not this way. It goes, I don't know, City Mile or some weird but nice convention center. They had probably more exhibitors than I ever remember in aquatics and aquatic-related products and services, which means that obviously nationwide there is a trend, but it was kind of easy to eliminate because it does not really have any bearing on where our excuse me hold on, need to near future will be. And then there were the usual many small exhibitors for things like turf and flooring that you typically see, which are really neither here nor there. The interesting thing in play equipment was the concept of inclusion is no longer a separate thing. But most of the big guys in the game have either partnered with somebody who specializes in, quote, inclusive special needs, universally adaptable playground equipment, or they have launched their own venture where they call it a subset of their own company in it. That was very interesting to see that it wasn't more than just one company. There were also a number of companies from the play equipment side that, the best word I can give it, and Scott kind of echoed it earlier, was like theme. There's a theme to it. It's not just the typical structure, color, metals, and composite materials, but it actually may have a woodsy theme or a rock climbing theme or something. And my mind went to thinking with what we're doing with the Neighborhood Park Improvement Program, what great timing to have that and to put that onto whatever designers are selected, of saying, hey, you know, let's consider maybe this for this site and that for this, that our parks, we don't necessarily want to use the word destination because then the people in the neighborhood get scared that they'll have 1 million people there, but that the parks are somewhat different and that there's maybe a reason to go there. You can go to different parks and kind of have different experiences, things like that. There were also a lot of smaller, well, NFL is not necessarily small, but smaller ventures on their own that dealt with special programming, things like pickleball, flag football, disc golf, excuse me, and fun things like that, and that seem to have a fairly good already customer base and things. So there's, again, looking at where we're going and down the path the next few years, there's some opportunities there. From a standpoint of the seminars, one of the messages that came across in quite a few of them, I want to say it was a trend more than before, was the fact that there's a realization that all municipalities and government agencies face money issues. And to do what they want, typically the budget does not allow for it. And the answer, it came from various people, and was a very simple one. Partnerships, 1, grant writing, 2. And they had, a fair amount of cases where they could point to parks and rec districts, consumer community services groups, and that having succeeded by using that vehicle to get what they needed. And I know it's a tough road to hoe and it's a tough thing to get done, but again, if we want to keep our financial strength, I think it's something we really need to seriously, even beyond just community services, but to the level of the city manager, have an understanding that that's part of what makes the game play today, and then it also has benefits for other programming and things like that. And it was just interesting. A gentleman in one of the seminars that I now see him once or twice a year at CPRS or at NRPA, and when I first met him, he was out in Temecula, and he was in one seminar where they spent quite a bit of time on the concept of inclusion in play equipment and on the fundraising and grant writing. And he now is the Director of Community Services for San Diego, City of San Diego, which is a fairly big job, I would think. And afterwards, I kind of looked at him and I said, well, Herman, I said, does this apply to you in San Diego as well? And he gave me a big smile and he says, it sure does. So, it seems to be something that's applicable. But overall, it was I think well worth going. I really do look forward to getting this information, because I think then we can have some one-on-one on some of the things that really kind of stood out, and at least evaluate, does it make sense, for us to go. Some other real quick comments. One of the things I've noticed, since I wind up being out late at night sometimes, and I'm close to the sports park, there are times at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or even 9:30 or close to closing time at 10, and especially the side with the baseball diamonds on it, are dead. There's nothing happening. There's nothing scheduled, which is understandable, but the lights are on. And I'm assuming, again, and it's an assumption, so I'll leave it at that, that there is a capability to turn the lights off. I mean, it doesn't have to all be done on at, let's say, 6:30, off at 10. But that individual fields could be turned off, or, because I know years ago in Mission, when they came out with lights, they didn't have that capability. Everything went on at the same time, everything went off. And in the beginning, when you turned something off, everything went dark. Do we have that same thing, or do we have the ability to be...
Yeah, we have the Musco lighting system, so anytime, I mean, sometimes I go to boot camp up there too, so sometimes if I see it, I'll call Bill and have him call it in, or inquire about the things that you're asking about. A lot of times too, Scott just brought up a point regarding safety. Some of our walking trails, we leave those on, especially for ladies that are doing the stroller strides and things like that.
No, I understand that. I'm talking about...
But the later in the evenings, I'm going to check with Bill just to see what we're set at. I know those fields right now are under renovation, so they should be off.
Yeah.
But I could check in with him just to
because
see what our times are.
From what I know with Musco, it's surprising that Bill has to call, if that's what the methodology is, that they have the users capable of doing it right from a desktop computer.
You could do it. Yeah, you could do it either way. Sometimes if we're out, it's
Okay.
harder to do it. It's harder to do it from your phone, access it. But either way,
no,
you can
but-
call it in or
okay.
access it from your phone or your computer.
It's just money that maybe could be used or redirected to
Sure.
something else. I know lights aren't cheap, and
Right.
especially since now we put off hiring a consultant to help us save money with Edison and people like that. So that was cool. And then the other thing, and this is just the start from my standpoint, but with the routes that I travel in the city a lot, I go by several parks consistently. I go by Regency every day, at least once or twice. And the soccer season is maybe two-thirds over, half over at least. And I will talk with Bill about allocation, because I'll look it up on the website. But I don't see it being used as much as it has been in the past. Regency as one specific field for either practices and or games. There's a lot of Saturdays you go by there and there's no games. And like that field is already looking, it's starting to totally brown. And it's like some of the brown was already there when the season started, and I know there were issues and things like that, but again, I think that's something maybe we need to collectively just kind of keep an eye on, that we don't have to get into issues that are large ticket items to keep the fields up. And there's always going to be some wear and tear and usage, and I don't have the answers. I'm just noticing that one, and a couple of other of the parks look pretty dry, pretty parched.
I know that almost all the passive parks right now, they're rehabilitating the turf, so they should be brown, but we'll check on Regency, because I thought that was just done recently. And
It was.
Last time we
it was
saw
done
it,
before the
yeah.
season,
Yeah.
and there were still some on the non-playing field area spots that I think in the week before they re-permitted them, they wound up sodding a couple of areas because there was nothing else they could do in a short time frame. But there's like large patches, and I'm one of the things I do know about turf, well, a few things I really know, is if you mow them too low, if you shave them, it's the same. We have a patch at our house that I've basically had it explained to the mow, blow, and go service we contract with, that if they keep cutting it that low, I won't have to look for another mow, blow, and go, because they shave it, and they're almost cutting it down to where the root is coming to ground level, so it has no opportunity to stay green and to get robust. So, that could be part of it. I don't know. But it might be worth, for some of these, just taking a look at it. And if they're, is Nevis doing the rehab on the passive parks?
I'm sorry?
Nevis, are they doing the rehab? On the, or is it
Nieves. Yes.
It's Nevis?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Marina.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
It is Marina?
Yeah.
Because I see more, to be honest, around some of those passive parks, I see more more Nevis vehicles than I see Marina. I hardly ever see Marina vehicles around the passive parks.
I drove by 4 passive parks yesterday. They were all being rehabilitated,
Okay.
and there was signage up.
And I can check. I know Nieves does, I think they do Pittsford. Yeah, but I know Marina does like Regency, and I think they split them up, but it could
Okay.
be passive.
Yeah. With Pittsford, just a question. What is the extent of the rehabilitation? What does that entail doing?
It's usually going to be the overseeding, fertilizing,
Okay. We're not
aerating.
not talking about leveling the surface or anything.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. What I would think that they would be doing now is, even though it's going to be 94 degrees
Yeah.
out, planting the cool weather grass, the ryegrass.
Right. But again, it's hard to control the temperatures and that. Okay. Again, thanks for the input. There's maybe a little watching. Another question is, it's just a thing that jumped in mind, and not having my this month recreation report, what I brought with me. Is the farmers market starting in November? As originally, I think Nick had talked about.
It's not starting in November. It's something that we're kind of still working on because he wants to gather more information and not just put it out. So I think we're going to wait and start a little bit more towards closer to the spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
But is it still something, thought process?
Still something that we're talking about. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there something that, I'm not trying to commit anybody, that made it, I don't want to say bomb, but that kind of made it pulled back?
No. Just with everything that's going on right now, just getting into Haunt and Autumn Harvest Festival and the upcoming projects that we have, it kind of just got put on the back burner. But no, it's something that we're still interested in doing, but Nick really wants to do more research just to make sure that we get enough groups and not, so, basically so that they don't do a one and done. We want to really have a good collaboration with other booths and vendors, because at this point we have about 15 interested. So he wants to make sure there's a little bit more of a variety, and then that way
Especially if
they
you put it
stay.
at the
Yeah.
sports park.
Right, exactly. So it doesn't
Huge
look
thing.
like a penny
Yeah.
inside of the size of a dollar.
Right.
So-
It gets lost, and if you're not,
Right.
Yeah.
No,
good.
So he wants to
Good
do it
plan.
right. He's a perfectionist, so he's
Yeah.
going to take his time.
But I think it's, again, a great idea, and it's something,
Yeah.
once again, unique.
Right,
that
exactly.
we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we're gonna do it right, and weather permitting and everything, we didn't want to get it kicked off and then have some cancellation dates.
Yeah, no, it makes
So.
perfect sense to perfectly plan it. And movies in the park, when are those going to start? Or
We talked about January. The brochure should be coming out shortly. I think we're to second or third draft right now.
okay,
And I know that one of the girls here this evening is in charge of that. I believe Allie is, or Michelle. Sorry. So yeah, that'll start in the winter.
and do it kind of like we did during the summer, a series of them, and
Exactly. It'll be the exact same.
Francisco,
way.
your entertainment is taken care of, right? Yeah.
You should have Michelle's little ear and then tell her which movies you like to see.
Yeah, he should give input, right?
Yeah,
He'd be
exactly. You should be the movie critic.
movie critic. Yeah,
There you go.
movies in the park critic. Yeah, add that to your.
I'll start a blog.
I bet.
It's a movie, just a critic.
I'll bet. And then the last question I have, and I'm sure it's somewhere, Snowfest is already, is it the last, end of January again, or is it not? Is it too early?
It's in the brochure.
Always the same.
The next one coming out? Is it? Yeah,
Upcoming brochure.
yeah. Okay, it's typically like the last,
Same weekend every
the fourth weekend or something in January. Okay. All right, no problem. Thank you much.
Excellent. Yes, the Heritage Hill event we just had the highest attendance in the history of the event. The first couple hours, over 900 people came through the turnstile, which is phenomenal. And I was helping out, and we have docents in each of the buildings, and I was in the Adobe at the time. Boy, it was a fabulous turnout. The staging was excellent because of whoever did the emceeing on the music, getting the kids involved. It was fabulous. I mean, everyone had a great time. Great event. A comment on the taste. I'm really concerned, though, that the success of the program has affected the quality, mainly because of a confined space that we're having it in. We're having much more participants. From a crowd control, I was concerned that it was just too crowded. There was no passageway where people could move from one venue to the other. And because you were confined in a kind of a small area to begin with, the lines were long. I really think that the city should rethink the site, because I don't think that's an appropriate site, number one, mainly because of space and other considerations, and maybe consider alternative sites, because the way it was laid out, it was just too confining. From a safety perspective, I was concerned there as well. And I really think the city needs to take a look to economic development. I've already shared my feedback with the coordinator, Amanda, and made it clear where I was coming from, because I wasn't happy in terms of what I saw and participated in. How many of you visit? Did all of you go? Okay. Well, I really think I would prefer to move it, whether it be the sports block or somewhere else. But I know the reasons why they put it there. But on the other hand, you know, the event has just grown so much over the years that I want to share my concerns for what it's worth. And if you get feedback from the chamber, I think it's a chamber coordinated event with the to really take a hard look at that. If you're going to do it, it should be done first class. And I don't think the quality was there, as I mentioned. The lines, I mean, it was getting to the point where I heard feedback, people just left. You know, it just wasn't worth standing in all the lines and getting bumped around. So if we're going to do it, I think we need to take a hard look at it. The other comments I have, Karen Rice and I have been in touch. We're going to do a custom tour in January. It's kind of exciting. The initial date that we came up with unfortunately conflicted with another event, but it will probably be in the later part of January during the week. So we'll put that together, and since we're in the neighborhood of whether or not you bring your own lunch or bagels and brew, we can set it up mid-morning and go to the lunch period. Then the seniors can participate in whatever lunch they would prefer. So kind of excited about that. November 9th is the Veterans event at City Hall, and where they're going to have a ceremony starting at 10:30, and we want to just publicize that a little bit and plug it. I don't know, Jim, is it on your radar? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, I thought it would be. And I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if you can get away or not on the 9th, which is Thursday.
You're going to dig out your boots and utilities? Right.
But if you're available, you know, see if you can make it or not. I'm not going to ask you to commit now. I won't put you on the spot.
Vic, you going to take out your boots?
Take out my boots? I don't know if I can find them. I mean, geez, they're in a box somewhere in the garage. I haven't looked at those for, I don't know, 50 years, I think biggest bin.
Recipe.
I couldn't even fit into it, and I had a size 32 in those days. So I'm looking forward to November, December, because that's typically a busy time for community services as well, with all the things going on. And the staffing is just superb. We're very fortunate to have the quality of staffing that we have. That makes a world of difference. So I'm excited about that continuing, and with the new hires, it's even better. So that's great. Do you have any input as to when the agenda for the council meeting for the change of times that we talked about?
Yes, actually, that's planned on going to the city council, I believe, the first meeting in November.
First meeting in November?
Yeah.
Do you see any pushback, or is it something that can be rather routine, or is there other concerns?
It should be totally routine, but it is the discretion of the city council.
Well, that's good. So at least we have that on the agenda itself. So CalPERS, California, the event coming up in March. We talked about that earlier. Once we get the agenda, we can take a look at talking about that. That's March, I believe. March. Excellent. Yeah. So Long Beach is where they always have it at Long Beach, I think, or is it? Or Ontario, I think, one year, and then they alternate back and forth between north and south. I think that's typically how it works. Are we going to be revisiting the turf discussion at one time that we talked about?
Yes, but I think we need to get through at least another season, but yes, we will.
A
We're
season
planning on
meeting
doing
into
that.
next year?
Probably, yeah. Not really much time has gone by so far, so I think we need to get a couple of cycles in. They're installing the fertigation system at the sports park, so I think they need some time to see how that works.
All right. And is there any update on the noise discussion we had as far as how that's working out?
Yes. Actually, they just had the second reading at the last council meeting, and it passed, which means it goes into effect after 30 days, which I think is about, I want to say November 20th, somewhere around there.
Well, that's great. And also, I understand we're going to be looking at a smoking ordinance at some future time?
That was requested. I'm looking into how to do that. I can't do it the way that I thought I could do it, so I'm working on that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's pending,
That's pending, yeah.
all right. Because I believe we talked about this before, there is already a state ordinance.
Correct. There's a state ordinance that prohibits smoking within, I believe it's 25 feet of a playground or where athletic activities are going on. The natural question would be what else would a smoking ordinance do? Well, there are other parts of parks where people can smoke. I know, for example, at Barker Ranch, it's interesting, we get a couple of folks that complain about people smoking in there. We can't really stop it because it's a legal activity and it's not a playground, and there are no athletic competitions going on there.
Well, do you typically look at alternatives like a designated smoking area within a park, or you just want it, we were just saying no smoking at all within a park?
There are options. So in researching this, cities have different kinds of ordinances. There's a spectrum. At one end of the spectrum, you have something like Laguna Beach that simply bans smoking in all public areas. You have other ones that are perhaps more reasonable where they just ban them in parks and recreation facilities, anywhere on the premises. So if I'm able to move this forward, what we would bring to the commission would be, we would have a discussion about what kind of ordinance would you like to see? Where would you like it to fall in that spectrum?
That will probably take a little longer to make that determination.
It would, and
Seemed to me.
frankly, what I need to do is I need to start with, I didn't realize this at first, I actually need to start with the city council to ask them, the commission has expressed an interest in pursuing this. Is this something that you would like us to explore? And then if they are amenable to that, then I'll bring it back to the commission.
Very good. Well, that's. I think personally it's the right direction to go. Now it's determining the best approach.
I agree.
And making sure that we're on the same page.
Yep.
Yeah. So appreciate that. I saw the announcement for the next Veterans Park discussion, which
Yes.
is on my calendar. I think you got the same notice that I have. And it sounds like we're getting close to fruition here.
We're close. So this is really just a discussion. It's really just limited to the monuments and what's going to go on the monuments. If it's an inscription, if it's a plaque, that kind of thing.
Right, I think it's October 26th.
It is, yes, next
Six-
Thursday, October 26th, 6:30 p.m. at the Sports Park.
Great. And are we going to see the final draft of the option that we've been talking about?
It will only be presented at the council meeting. So
Only
what we're
presented.
intending, is that this meeting would be the last meeting. You have to remember that council reduced by 50% the design fees for the designer. So I had to ask them, tell me how you can get this done still with the given fee. And so what it's done is it's reducing their meetings. But what they would do, the next step, in theory, would be we would take this to the city council and show them the design and then request the funding.
So we kind of have to reverse engineer it a little bit.
Well, you know what, the design was really settled on. This is really just the plaques that we're looking at.
Oh, just that portion.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And then for the design, we will likely give them some options within the confines of the design that was approved.
I understand. Okay, that's great. So that covers
Moving
that.
forward.
Yeah. So that's all I have. And it's exciting, about, as I mentioned, some of the things coming up and going into our November, December period of time. Is there, I think we can, if there's no further comments, we can go to adjournment.